Good morning and welcome to GKBA Today, where we feature a member of the Greater Kendall Business Association, and we just get to know a little bit about who they are and what they do. As always, thanks to Miami's Community News for affording us this platform. So today, without further ado, I wanted to introduce you to Carlos Fong. Carlos is the owner of Expert Valuation Services. By the way, I love your logo. Your logo is very cool.
Appreciate that.
Neon, very South Beach.
Yes.
Very cool. Anyway, Carlos, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
So you are a certified residential appraiser, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. What does that certification entail? Does everybody have to be certified if you're an appraiser? How does that work?
So in Florida, yes, you have to be a certified appraiser to do appraisal work, and we're able to do up to 1 of 4 units of properties.
Okay. And how do you obtain that certification? Do you have to have experience? Is it just taking a class and a test? How does that work?
So you go for your trainee's license.
Okay.
You become a trainee. You have to do about 2 years of a trainee, and I believe it's about 2,500 hours.
Okay.
Of training under a certified appraiser. After that time period, then you could go for your certification. You take more courses, and then you have to take a state test. Once you pass a state test, then you become certified.
Wow, I didn't know it was that involved.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we start talking about appraisals and the market, I wanted to get to know, and for everybody to get to know you a little bit more personally. Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? That kind of thing.
So I'm born and raised in Miami.
Okay.
My dad's Cuban, my mom's Colombian.
Okay.
I went to school. I started at St. Kevin for elementary till middle.
All right.
And then I went to Archbishop Carroll for high school.
Okay.
And then I did a couple of years in Miami-Dade College. Okay. But I basically knew I was going to get into the appraisal business.
Right.
So right out of high school, I started working on my trainee's license.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, college isn't for everybody.
Right.
So
yeah, it definitely wasn't for me.
I know a few people. Anyway, so let's talk about the appraisal process, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of actually what is it that you do to appraise a home from start to finish. What is it that exactly, what's that process like?
So first, I'll ask the person that's interested in the appraisal, the purpose of the appraisal. Okay. There could be different reasons. It could be for estates. It could be for tax purposes. It could be for lending purposes. It could be for listing your property for sale.
Okay.
So I'll determine which appraisal is needed. And then once I have that information, I'll start researching. I'll research the property.
What does that mean, research the property?
Research a property is basically look at the public data, look at the square footage, look at the bedroom counts, bathroom counts, look at any prior listings that the property may have had, and then ask the owner of the property any further information or details about the property, such as renovations, any repairs that are needed, any maybe external obsolescence, meaning do you back up to a railroad, are you near an airport, or any benefits, are you on the water, do you have any positive views, whether it could be city views or water views or etc.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. I didn't know that played into
definitely yeah like so they say, location, and that's one of the aspects of it, where you're located and what views you have. So then from there, I'll schedule the inspection.
Okay. Go
out to the property, do my own evaluation of the property and the area, measure the property, look for any features that stand out to me, look at the renovations that they told me that were made, and look for any maybe repairs that are needed in the property.
Okay, so that goes into the report as well.
Correct, yeah. We give it an overall condition and quality rating.
Okay.
And then when we pick our comparables, we're driving around and we're going to try to compare that property to apples. Okay. Now, obviously, we can't get into all the comparables. So for the comparables, we're looking at public data, mostly MLS.
Okay.
And, talking to those realtors and finding out more information about those comparable properties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because no two houses are going to be exactly the same. So,
Exactly.
So you've got to work some kind of formula in there to figure out, well, this home A is worth this, home B is worth that.
Correct. I mean, there are cases that we go to cookie cutter neighborhoods.
Okay.
And they are very similar, but yeah, when you go to an area like, let's say, South Miami, it could be very difficult.
Right. Okay. And also, I mean, homes, I live in Westchester, and, you know, they call it Westchester by the Sea because everybody has a pool.
Right.
But, you know, and there's other renovations. I mean, you look just at homes on my block, and everybody's done something, it seems like. So I guess that you have to factor in as well.
Yes, that's definitely
because at one point they were cookie cutter homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because my neighborhood was built for officers of the Korean War. Well,
Okay.
soldiers of the Korean War. The officers got the 2-story houses, and then the other people got the 1-story houses.
Right.
But anyway, I was just curious about, you know, used to be cookie cutter, not anymore kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and it definitely plays into it because let's say I'm appraising your property and you've completely renovated the property. It's not fair to compare it to a property that's completely outdated and original. Why? Because a buyer is willing to pay more for your property than a property that's outdated and needs a ton of work.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. So you mentioned location, and you mentioned water. So is close to water something that's positive, or it's on the water? Is close to water, will that affect your value?
Yeah, definitely. The more east you go, those property values tend to be higher than the more west you are.
How about on a canal? Is that considered being on the water?
On a canal, most canals are like drainage canals.
Okay.
So they may or may not have an effect. It really it depends on that market. And we really have to research and see other sales on the canal versus other similar sales off of the canal.
Okay.
To see if there is an adjustment warranted there.
Okay. On a lake, for example?
On a lake, yeah.
That's different, right?
Yes, yeah. On a lake, most people are willing to pay more for a property on a lake. More privacy.
Yeah.
And you have the benefit of the views.
That view.
Yeah.
Because like a friend of mine says, the long view, because, you know, normally you're looking at your neighbor's home.
Right.
When you look out here, you're looking at, you know, a beautiful lake. So
exactly. And then we do have some motorized lakes in Miami-Dade that you could actually use powered boats or go swimming in it. So that's also a benefit.
Okay. So lake where you can't do that versus lake that you can, again, that
will be
ups the value.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recently, what have you seen as far as either cities, areas, neighborhoods that are just going crazy in value?
So we are getting a lot of out-of-state buyers that are coming in, and those buyers are buying higher-end properties.
Okay.
So the more higher-end market has been increasing. It's still increasing, not as much as it was like post-COVID,
right,
where everything shot up, but you are still seeing pockets of increasing in, like, let's say Coral Gables,
okay,
Pinecrest, Miami Beach, Eastern Shores, Aventura, etc.
Okay.
And then the general market in Miami-Dade, what I've seen for single-family homes, is pretty stable. Meaning, if you look at it within a 12-month period, you do have some dips, but then you also have some peaks. So if you expand it within 12 months, it's overall pretty stable, most markets.
Okay.
Not all of them. There are sub-markets within Miami-Dade. And then also, if you look at the condos, I know a lot of condos, older condos, with the whole situation that's happened, that has brought property values down for condos, for older established condos.
So do you appraise condos as well or not?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Single units.
Single units, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. That's really interesting to me that, you know, some of them are actually losing value. And I think maybe people aren't as anxious to get into a condo at this point because of, you know, what happened a few years ago. Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to hear, and it's sad, you know, the whole situation. So with the laws that were applied for our safety, it hindered or it made them use or increase their special assessments. Right.
Yeah.
Or establish special assessments. So that really hurt that market because, you know, it's I've seen special assessments of maybe 30, 40, 50 grand or above per unit. So that's a big chunk of money.
It sure is.
So that really has affected that market. So because of that, property values tend to decline because either those owners are trying to sell their property because they can't afford it, and then a lot of buyers are not really looking at that market because of that effect.
Okay.
You know, I think there was a new law that was just passed that's supposed to relieve that. I haven't really studied much about it, but hopefully that does help a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, now that you mentioned that, something like a lien against the home, does that affect the value at all, or is that just something that's going to be resolved at closing, or how does that work?
Yeah, so most liens for a typical buyer are resolved before.
Okay.
Now you do have investors, cash buyers that are buying properties with liens. However, they are buying those properties at a discounted rate. So that doesn't really equal market value.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that do to the market overall? Do you guys look that specifically? Hey, this was an investor versus this is somebody who's going to live in the home.
We do. We
Okay.
do. Yeah. So we have to look at the market. We have to look at the transactions. We have to make sure they are arm's length transactions.
Right.
So if they're not, we're not going to be using those comps or those sales as comparables.
Got it. So
Right.
I imagine you're looking at a place, a neighborhood that homes are going for $500,000, just to choose a number, and then here's one for 400,000. That's going to raise a red flag.
It's an outlier, correct? It's an outlier.
So you take a deeper
most of the
dive
time
into
we yeah, exactly.
Or
We'll
just omit
research
it?
it. We'll figure out
Okay.
why it sold for so low, and then we can mention it in the report, or other time just exclude it and use the predominant sales in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What are, because you hear stuff all the time, what are some of the improvements a homeowner can make to increase the value of their home, and which ones would you say, yeah, maybe you should hold off on doing that? It's not going to increase the value of your home versus the investment you're going to make.
Right. So we're looking at the way we're supposed to be appraising is we're supposed to put our feet in the shoes of a buyer, right?
Okay.
So I think the updates and the renovations that a buyer is looking for is what appreciates a property the most. So basically your kitchens, your flooring, and your bathrooms. Those
Okay.
are your main renovations.
Okay.
Also here in South Florida, your impact windows. I know
Okay.
that does have an effect in a lot of markets down here. Other renovations, obviously you want that curb appeal.
Right.
So you want fresh paint, lighting, landscaping that does help curb appeal.
I was
but
just
it
going to
may
ask you
not-
about landscaping.
Yeah, it
So
may
that
not
that's it.
directly.
So that goes into the quotient. so to speak.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, you just want the property to appeal, and you want the renovations to be modern or basically up to date. Because if a buyer goes to a property that doesn't need to spend anything, they could just move in, they're willing to spend more on that property than a property that they need to basically
Right.
completely remodel.
So what about swimming pools? Because everybody, not everybody, I'm exaggerating, but a lot of people put a pool in after they move in.
Yeah, so swimming pools in South Florida, in most markets, they do sell for a higher price
Okay.
than properties without pools.
Okay.
Now, would you get the cost that you would it equal the same cost that
Right.
the
So
amount
let's say
that
you
it
pay
costs?
$50,000 for a pool. You're not going to get $50,000.
You may not get 50, but you could get more.
Okay.
So it really
Okay, so
depends.
you don't know.
It really depends. Yeah,
You don't know until you.
it
appraise the
varies
home.
on the actual submarket. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no just general number like, okay, this property has a pool, this one doesn't. You get 25,000 or 50,000 for that house. You really have to look at the market and see what the houses with pools are selling for, and the houses without pools, and then really determine that adjustment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is Miami-Dade County, and I'm sure nobody does illegal additions to their home at all. So how do you deal with that? How do you evaluate a home that has an illegal addition? I don't know. It could be anything.
Converted garage.
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So what I tell people is that we we're not permit police. We don't work
Okay.
for the county. Okay, so we're putting our feet in the shoes of a buyer. So how is a buyer going to see that conversion, that addition, or whatever it may be?
Okay.
If it's something that's just put together by,
Strings
the
and
Volanito, and you could tell that it's not really done well,
right.
that's a big red flag.
Okay.
But let's say a conversion was done and it's done what we call workman-like manner.
Right.
It's done properly,
Right.
and it does conform to the rest of the house
and to code. I guess.
and to code. We should be able to include it because a buyer is willing to pay, should be, or most of the time will be willing to pay more for that property with that additional square footage or bedroom than a property without it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about the people coming from other parts of the country and buying here, and I guess, and you say they're buying luxury homes, right?
Right.
So I don't know. This is just a thought. I figure if they're coming from California or New York, this is like, it's very affordable for them.
Right. I mean, our prices, actually, Miami-Dade has increased.
Right.
And we're kind of close now to New York and California.
Really?
But still, we're not at that point yet.
Right.
So definitely, they're looking at properties here, and to them, it's a bargain. Not a bargain, but yeah, I mean, it's a good value.
It's a good value.
Correct. Especially when they're looking at waterfront properties. And what I've seen a lot is they're buying older properties, tearing them down, and then building luxury mansions. And then that's going to like double or even triple the value of the property.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because the home that I grew up in, not my whole childhood, but more in my teen years, I just heard that and it was a very modern home. It was built in the 70s, very modern looking. Somebody told me they tore it down and they're going to build some monstrosity there. So
yeah,
that's happening a lot.
That's Miami-Dade, yeah. That's going around all throughout.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you appraise properties as well, like a vacant lot, or no, or just?
Yeah,
okay.
I could do anything from 1 to 4, so meaning a single family, a condo, a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex. We could do land. It has to be all residential.
Land? Right.
Correct. My company, we do have a commercial appraiser. So the commercial appraiser does deal with all the commercial side. But as a certified residential, yeah, we could do single family homes and land sales.
Are there any neighborhoods that have land at this point?
Very few.
Very few, right?
Very few. But there are a couple. Okay. I actually got, I was asked for a quote yesterday for a land sale or land appraisal in a horse country.
Okay.
So it's here and there.
Okay. All right. I want to talk a little bit about your business and how your business specifically got started, because you own this business, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Expert Valuation Services. Did you always own it? Did you work for somebody else?
No, so I started, so I actually got in the industry. I'm going to go like way back.
Okay,
if you don't mind.
Fine.
So I started in the industry because I have an aunt and 2 uncles that are appraisers.
Okay.
One of my uncles, he owns his own company. So I started at his firm as a trainee. Once I became certified, I started in 07. I became certified in 07. I started in 05 as a trainee. So that's when the bubble was happening, and then it bursted. So because of that, his work slowed down. So he's like, why don't you find a bigger firm?
Right.
So as soon as I became certified, I started working for a large firm called LandSafe.
Okay.
LandSafe was owned by Countrywide. They closed down, and we were sold to Bank of America.
Okay.
So I was a Bank of America staff appraiser for several years.
Okay.
About 5 years. And then I became a fee appraiser. A fee appraiser means I opened my own company, and then I worked for AMCs. Appraisal management companies.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the.
So you were a freelancer.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. From that,
Let me ask you.
Sure.
What made you make that jump? Was it out of necessity, or you just said, I want to see what it is being on my own?
I'll be honest. It was because of layoffs.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of layoffs going on.
Okay.
Because work was slowing down, so we had several cuts throughout my lifetime there at Bank of America. And eventually in 2013, 2014, I got laid off.
Okay.
So I wanted to continue appraising. So I did open my own company.
Okay.
And then I also got my realtor's license to kind of see that aspect of the business. And then I became a freelancer. I found a company that was just starting to expand. They were from Chicago, and they started expanding nationwide. And I worked for them for several years. I became a staff appraiser for them. And then basically at the beginning of this year, or around February, I decided work was slowing down again, or has slowed down in the last 2 to 3 years. Correct. So that's when I decided to just go on my own and just grow my own practice.
What'd that feel like, taking that big leap of faith?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. So most appraisers were used to working for AMCs, getting our work from appraisal management companies and getting work from lenders. But that did slow down about 2 to 3 years ago because of the interest rate hikes.
Okay.
We do a lot of refinances. That's a big part of our business. And because of the hike, that people weren't pretty much just closed down. So that took about half of our business. So because of that, industry-wide, we're just pretty slow. And I started hearing about doing just private work, doing work for attorneys, doing work for realtors, doing work for just cash buyers or sellers. And that's why I started my business, to really go after that business. And that, that type of business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's it going so far?
It's going good, for being in.
You're brand new. I mean, you started this in February.
Exactly. So just starting for a couple of months ago, it's actually going really well.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what do you think of the Greater Kendall Business Association?
I think it's great. I think it's helping me grow my business. It's something I'm not used to, since I'm used to just being fed work from the lenders. But I know now I have to get myself out. I have to network. I have to meet other individuals, other professionals. And, you guys provide that community to be able to do that easily.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Carlos, if they want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They could find my website, expertvaluationservice.com.
It's services or service on your website?
It's just service. Expertvaluationservice.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phone number?
Phone number is 305-588-8927.
Okay.
And then email is carlos@expertvaluationservices.com.
All right. Thank you for being on the show. It was all very interesting.
Thank you so much. And first time on camera, so I apologize. The nervousness.
No, you did great. You did great.
Thank you so much.
You did great.
Appreciate that.
All right. And thank you for joining us on GKBA today. We will be back very soon with another esteemed member of the Greater Kendall Business Association. Until next time.